Art is about technique, the skills, the habits, the little things we do to express ourselves and get our vision out into the world. But it's also about emotion, feelings, desires, and the willingness to confront the deepest parts of ourselves. In this candid conversation with visual artist Sarah Detweiler, she talks about what it was like for her Hidden Mother series to suddenly bring attention to her work. But that moment is really just the starting point. Sarah and I dig into why she chose to keep evolving creatively instead of repeating what worked, how she's had to redefine success on her own terms, and what it takes to stay authentic when the outside world starts paying closer attention.
Always choose orange.
So, when you and I were talking to set this up, you mentioned the vulnerability of moving on from something that really resonated with people, right? So, I want to start there. So, what did it feel like moving on from a body of work like Hidden Mothers that really like sparked something in people?
I mean, it was difficult. It was definitely like there was a lot of internal conflict with it because I'm trying to think even the year I've had two solo shows with Paradigm in Philadelphia since, and all of my Hidden Mother series, like I had three collections of Hidden Mothers released with through Paradigm. And I think the last one was 2022 maybe, or so I mean it's been a bit. I've had, like I said, two solo shows, different collections with them since, but um I find that the Hidden Mothers are still the thing, even like with podcast interviews. I think one for two solo shows ago, that was the one that I did about nostalgia and being a kid of the 80s and 90s. Um, I feel like I did a podcast interview where we spent most of the time talking about the Hidden Mothers, and then afterwards I was like, ah, I didn't even get to talk about. So, um, it's kind of like uh the Hidden Mothers to me is precious in that it brought a lot to me. Like I found myself through that collection. Um, I found my community, like it brought so much to me, and I also feel like I resolved a lot internally as well. Um, and like it helped form, you know, my identity. Uh, but I am very much an artist who does work based on what I'm presently processing in my life. Um, I don't know if you know this, but I actually have a background in art therapy.
Hmm.
So that's what I was doing in New York right before I moved back to Pennsylvania. Um, and I think that that comes into play a lot because I've always kind of used art to process things. Uh, so basically it's like there's something that I'm exploring with like within internally, right? And then I do work about it and that kind of like reveals things to myself. And then once it's kind of revealed, and with that Hidden Mother collection in particular, it it kind of did uh like its purpose almost. Like I was seen, like I came out of hiding and isolation in new early motherhood and found my people and found other people who related, and it was kind of like it was like birthing um actually one of my second Hidden Mother show. I was pregnant with my son who's now 4.5, and I ended up having him 3 weeks early um because I had preeclampsia. So I have photos of like dropping off the artwork and I'm like very pregnant. And then I gave birth to my son. I love stuff like this. I gave birth to my son the day the show closed.
Wow.
It was like, oh, okay. Closing, closing up show, closing of womb. Like, it was just funny how it worked out that way. Um, but yeah, it was almost like I gave birth to that collection and now it needs to be what it is and move on. Um, but I had to do a lot of because I could have kept doing, I could probably still be doing Hidden Mother and have interest in it. Um, I had people reach out for commissions and I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I felt like it was time for me to explore different things. So that's where I think um I feel like the artists like break off into two different groups in that way. And there's like the people that uh maybe I mean that's their bread and butter and they have to keep like and that's what they want to do. They want their income to be from their art, so they kind of feel like they have to keep doing what they're known for and what they're selling. And then there's people like me who apparently um I'm not that into money because I have to do what I feel called to do. And that's actually why I've feel like in recent years I've redefined what success is because I had two sold out shows with Paradigm with the Hidden Mother and I feel like having the freedom to work on what I want to be working on is that to me that's success.
What was that process of redefining the success look like? Was that like scary at first? Like trying to figure out like did you have to sort of like teach yourself to value other things or was it a no-brainer?
It wasn't something that I like sat down and consciously did, you know? I think it just kind of dawned on me. And I mean, you're a parent, so you know that a lot of these epiphanies come because you don't necessarily have the freedom to be like spending time the way that you choose to be.
Hmm.
So it like I think that really like shines a light on what's important to you and what makes you happy because it's like what are you doing in that precious time that you do have, you
That's
know?
exactly it. Right, exactly. Right. It's like if I have an hour a day, it has to be the most important thing that I'm gonna fill that with.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like life's not gonna work.
Yeah. And I found that so I'm in my studio right now. It's in my home. And what I started to find was that at that precious time, I do all of my painting at night. I'm a night owl. So my kids go to bed and I'm in here till like 3 in the morning sometimes. Um, but um, when I had the choice to come into the studio and work on what I wanted to be working on and spend the time in here the way I wanted to, that I was this is happiness to me. This is success.
I love that. Right. And like that form of success is it's you can control that, whereas like I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah,
public response, we can't always control that. Like even if let's just say you would have taken the other path, who knows if would there come a point where maybe it wouldn't have resonated the same way and then you don't have either. So I think that form of success you have control over it, which is really cool.
yeah. That's a perfect way to put it, and that's what it feels like to me too. Is that it's like it's freeing because you're I also feel like I let go a lot of things like Instagram and how many followers you have or how much maybe how many people are reaching out to you for a show or a podcast interview, and you can easily get trapped in that, like that whole FOMO thing. Or yeah, I mean, trust me, I have fear every time. Like I have large gaps between shows because I kind of put myself in such a state preparing for the shows because I'm pretty bad with time management that and that I need to have the space, and I also do tend to like to explore something new between so that the next body of work will be about, so I have to have that like discovery time. And um I definitely have that fear of like people are going to forget about me and I won't, but letting go of that and just kind of be like um I don't know. Now I kind of laugh when I'm like losing followers because I'm not active on Instagram, because it kind of like it's just like kind of reveals like what it really is. It's like, "Oh, okay. I'm not playing your game, so you're not gonna." And then it's like, "Well, I'm glad that the essence of my art career where it is now is more through my relationship with like Paradigm and you know, like real things rather than like what's on social media."
Yeah. I find that always super interesting how like those two things like I think there's like an assumption that like the virtual spaces like Instagram or YouTube or whatever like accurately reflects like what we'll call real life, like offline life. But like you said, like there can be things that are wildly impactful in real life that maybe don't show up in that virtual space because of what you said. Like I feel like Instagram and Facebook and all those things, they value content as like an ever flowing sort of river, and it doesn't matter what you're it's just do it every
Yeah.
single day and whatever. But like art is the exact opposite of that. It's like I value the content itself, not how much I'm putting out. Like, do you feel like that's like a tension?
As far as specifically to like Instagram or
Yeah,
social
or for
media,
you, yeah. Like, do you battle that of like feeling the need to make more in order to sort
I
of
used to.
yeah,
But and that's I think that part of it is because I feel like I do owe my presence on social media to the development of my art practice, where not practice but the six whatever, um recognition or
Mhm.
whatever. I feel like through getting noticed on Instagram by certain people that kind of brought me into the spotlight, that it gave me a lot. So it's like that love hate kind of thing. But I also I just can't be that I have to like separate myself from that mindset because I don't want to live my life that way, I guess, you know?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I want to kind of go back to talking about like the art therapy piece, right? So you were talking
Yeah.
about your background in that, and then how your work is often you working through things. Like how has how intertwined are those things, I guess? Like the art therapy background that you have and like being in that space, like what do you apply from art therapy to your own practice?
Maybe I should give a little bit of a like a quick Cliff Notes version, like explanation of art therapy, because there's a lot of people that don't know what it is, and um, there's many different ways that you can practice art therapy as well. Uh, I tended to, and basically, art therapy it is a form of therapy, but it's the uses art as the communication rather than talking, because and people often only think of it with children, but I actually only ever worked with adults. um Sometimes you can say something through an image that you can't express through words. And I feel like I'm the representative of that because I have a hard time sometimes like formulating the words. I talk a lot, but finding the words to say what I want to say is a struggle for me sometimes. Uh, so it also creates like if you let's say you create an art piece and then you're with your art therapist and you're talking about it, it almost becomes like a safe place for you to both like meet at where you're talking about the art. Like you ever go to somebody's house that you're like not really comfortable with and awkward and then like all of a sudden it becomes like the dog is like this like comfort like you guys like whether you're like petting the dog or like talking about it just becomes like this safe place that you can kind of meet at. Um so in that way, but what I love about the art as therapy. So there's art as therapy and then there's art therapy and that I won't go into that, but just please everybody please respect the art therapy degrees because there's a lot of people out there trying to do things and calling it art therapy that's not. So anyway, just had to
Okay.
say that for my
Yeah.
friends who are still practicing. Uh, it's a very expensive degree.
Yeah.
Uh, I love that I can process something through my art. I'm not even aware that I'm processing. Like I'm not sitting down and saying like this is something that I need to work through right now and I am going to make a piece about it. And then it's that I will make what I ever like feel like I need to make and then I can actually step away from it and be able to see the things because it's your subconscious, right? So it's like, oh wow. I mean, I've had some really like eye-opening and cool things happen where I like looking at a piece that I made that I didn't even know. I always talk about in rainbows started showing up in my art a lot, and I've never been like a super like I mean, I guess people don't know. I guess I am a pretty rainbowy person, but like in my art, I wasn't doing like bright, colorful things. For a while, I was doing very dark, muted things. And I'm like, why am I feeling called to put rainbows everywhere, you know? And and then it was like after the fact, then I could go and I kind of like do research and I'm like, oh, what is, and then I started discovering all these things and I'm like, oh, this is so amazing, all these connections, you know?
So is it like a way of understanding yourself more
Yeah.
in a sense? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's it's like getting to know myself. It's also why I think I tend to do self-portraits. I um you see over there I have the self-portrait queen. She's the Frida Kahlo she has always been um like a source of validation for me in doing self-portraits because it can feel weird to do a lot of self-portraits, but then I realized that there's practical reasons that I do self-portraits, but there's also like it is what I'm processing myself and I am trying to discover things and it's like, well, I obviously I have to do that through myself, right?
Yeah.
And then and then once I've kind of worked through that, then I will maybe do portraits of other people to work through that, you know, but really it comes down to that and it also comes down to the fact that I am like super impulsive and spontaneous about my photo shoots for my references and I'm always doing them by myself usually and it'll be like late night at 2 in the morning when I all of a sudden have to have this idea that I have to try.
Yeah.
Can't really be doing that if you're using models and you know.
So then do you always do them like in that moment? Like, are you like laying in bed and you have an idea and you're like, I'm up, I'm going.
Well, I'm
Like,
not in bed at 2 in the morning.
okay,
That's first thing is that.
fair, 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 fair.
But no, it's always like I will tell you, Alex, it's always like at the most inopportune time.
Yeah.
And I get that inspiration. It's when I'm like supposed to be feeding my kids. I mean, I can't even tell you how many dinner times like my husband's come home from work and it's like a full out like photo shoot. And the kids are just like, whatever, playing with props or I'm like forcing my daughter to like, please, can you please just take this photo for me? And she's like, oh, again.
How do you weigh how do you weigh that, right? Like the whether or not like you want to follow that prompting. Like do you always follow it or do you have to evaluate like, okay, I can't follow that right now. I have to do it later.
So this will is sure to come up at some point. I was recently diagnosed with ADHD. Um, so what do you think I do?
Makes sense. But jump in. Yes.
I mean, this is like I'm also one of those people that like that. Have you ever seen that the print like or poster or whatever that it's uh like art, dishes, laundry.
Yes.
And I'm a stay-at-home mom, so um those are all the things that I guess technically according to society I'm supposed to be doing, but art always comes first.
Yeah.
And I'm in my house that is understood. Like,
Yeah. Well, and like the fact that you were talking about like your kids playing with the props or like taking pictures
yeah.
and stuff, it's not like you're like abandoning them or anything like that,
Oh yeah,
obviously,
no.
you know? Yeah.
I
So
leave it, I put them outside
that's
and I
right.
let
Yeah.
no,
Go
it's not the
come back at
80s.
dinner time when the bell rings. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're
It's
usually part of it. I mean, they're a huge inspiration in my work. Um,
yeah.
yeah, my last show back to the ADHD thing was because I thought this would be interesting to bring up when we're talking about like, you know, changing directions in your work and all
Yeah.
that. Um, so my uh last show, which was it last April or the April before? I can't even remember.
Yeah.
At Paradigm, um, it was called Unmasquerade, and I had scheduled it with Paradigm like not long after my show before that, just like I like to give myself the time. So I think I had like a year and a half, close or maybe close to 2 years to create that show. And I decided that I wanted to because I had recently been diagnosed at the time with ADHD, so I really wanted to like explore that and kind of like unmask the experience and um so yeah, my kids showed up in one of the paintings from that was the called Riding the Struggle Bus ETA late.
Yeah.
But what happened was because this also, just so you know, this is connected.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
getting on tangents, but as far as like um using my art to process what I'm going through, um like Hidden Mothers, great. It worked. Like did the job.
Yeah.
Um Even my show after that, which was called Memory Palace, Down the Rabbit Hole, that was based on um, the the like what it was during like COVID and everything, and kind of like watching how different childhood was
Mm.
for at the time it was just my daughter, and thinking about my childhood and and then I found that I was just finding so much catharsis in like all of the like the memes and the Instagram about talking about like the nostalgia of being a kid of the 80s and 90s And I was like, oh, like I want to make a show that creates that experience, that feeling, because it's just so healing to me right now to not have to be in the present
Mhm.
with this, but just
Yeah.
like, go back to like the good old days.
Yes.
So that whole show was about that. Um, and again, it was like it was fun. I got to try out some new things, did its job, done. So naturally, I'm like when I got diagnosed with ADHD and before then, I it was like all I could talk about. Like I and I'm like seeing like like I always say in the Sixth Sense where like I see dead people.
Yes.
I see ADHD everywhere. You have ADHD. You
Yes.
really it's just like I naturally surrounded myself with my people. So
Yes.
and it's like my neurodiverse like community. I love like it's like all my. So I was like, okay, well, clearly I need to process this. Um, that was a big mistake.
Oh, okay.
So I think that it like I'm still trying to work it out. Like what and I won't say the show's a failure. Like I have like a lot of pieces like I like the way it turned out and everything. So it's not that, but it's like what I knew I like wanted it to be. And that I feel like I didn't pull it off.
Okay.
It's like, and it's a personal sense of like I let myself down a
Yeah.
little bit. And the problem I think was that like my ADHD is present in all of my work because it's part of my process. It's
Mm.
like it's formed my process, right?
Yes.
Even like I realized that the sense of novelty, that's like, you know, big for me. Like I realized that because I do incorporate like fiber arts, like embroidery
Yeah.
or in a lot of my paintings. Um, each show I was like introducing a new technique. And it wasn't like I was consciously saying like I need to and now I need a new take. It was just like, okay, I kind of like feel like I solved that. Now let's see what I can do with this. So it went from like hand embroidery to then um punch needle embroidery and then in the last show I did needle felting. Like and it um so I feel like that's ADHD right there. The fact like introduce something new and novel each time. Um, but I think that I lived in the place of the creativity, like discovery when you're in your mind and you're
Yeah.
walking through life, like, is this gonna inspire? Is this gonna inspire the work? And like you're taking it all in and then like an idea would, you know, come to me and then I go full into like down that rabbit hole, right? And
Mm.
then like something happens where it's like, it's not really doing it for me now. So, oh, maybe this is it. And I think I was like trying to not only encompass the entire ADHD experience in one show, which a dear friend of mine said, that's not really that's not maybe that's not what you want to do. And it was just like this desperation because I had like the 2 years to work up to it that I wanted to be like, but no, but I wanted to like say this and I wanted to say this about my experience and this. And so it came down to I guess just like the the unmasking, let's put it this way. The unmasking of my experience with ADHD that I wanted to show in my work was happening more in my process in my studio, and I was like losing my mind a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. What would you, so you know, like you knowing that now, right? And realizing that and having that experience of it sort of not like actualizing your vision. What, like, if you could go back and tell the you starting that, the preparation for that show, like, what would you say, what would you do differently, or what would you tell yourself? Or do you feel like that was like a necessary lesson that you needed in order to get to this point?
That's a good question because maybe it's a little from column A and a little from column B, you know? Like I I think everything, especially failures in life, are important lessons. Um so clearly I may have needed that in order to like let go because it was after that that I redefined success,
Mm.
right?
Hmm.
Um and yeah, because I was part of it. I was like, well, what you know when you're working on something creatively and like I mean with you it's mostly writing now these
Yeah.
days. So like you know when you're working on something creatively and you get feedback you like reach out maybe for some feedback and uh somebody can like make or break how you're feeling about it, right? But
Yes.
you know how when like there's that one thing that you've created and you could care less what anybody
Mm.
says, you
Yes.
love
Like
it.
this is it. Like I don't care. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And it's not even like it's almost like you don't even feel the need to get any feedback on it because you feel so confident about it. Um, that is oh my gosh, I completely forgot where I was going with that. Uh to me that is that's that's what I would tell my
Mm.
past self to do. Because I did get caught up for a while where I was like, um, with all of my like art community and the people that I do reach out to for to like process things and talk things out with, I felt like the little like kid that's like pulling on their parents' shirt. Like, what do you like, well, what do you think of this? Well, do you think this is the right direction? And I started to feel at one point like, oh my gosh, I just feel like so annoying and I'm just so full of self-doubt right now. And then I was like, and then at that point, I like completely cut off I stopped and I was like, now I'm now I'm just gonna like do what I need to do. I'm gonna go in my studio. I'm not gonna talk about it with people. But that wasn't the right move for me either.
Okay.
And my friend, my dear friend Sean Lugo, who also would be a great person to interview for this, but he's also a Philly artist.
Okay.
And we actually had our solo shows open at the same time because I wanted to have a simultaneous
Nice.
with him. He made a really good point and he was like, you just like you cut off like that and and that's like an important part of your process too, is like talking things out with people and I'm like, yeah. So I need to find the happy medium. Um, we'll see next time I go forth.
Yeah. Where are you at now then after that? Like, are you actively working on a new show? Are you in an in-between period where you're sort of discovering new ideas? Or yeah, what are you working on?
You actually have caught me like I am right on the precipice
Oh,
here.
yeah,
Like this conversation could shape the direction of my work, Alex. No pressure.
that's right. Do my best.
No, so I usually do have to like take uh a break um just for the fact that like I feel like I owe it to my family like those last couple months before the show opens are rough on everybody. Um so I was just like enjoyed just devoting time to my kids and Um, and then I was invited to do like a couple group like shows around the holidays that I did stuff for. But uh I like during the holiday season, um basically like starting December 1st, I go into survivor mode and I'm like fully devoted to I'm the kin keeper in my family. Do you know that expression?
Huh.
Oh, it's such a good one. People should know it. So, um, the kin keeper is the basically like the person in the family that like is doing all the little things in the background that like keep the family like the closeness. Like it's the person that's thinking of like, oh, even um it's this so and so's birthday. We got to send them a card or just like making all of those things happen, which often are one of the often fall on the matriarch or the mother in the family.
Yeah.
Um, and it's a lot of that invisible work that some people, I guess, wouldn't wouldn't even think that it was important to them unless it wasn't there. And I spend a lot of time kin keeping,
Yeah.
especially around the holidays with, my kids and like trying to make the magic happen and everything. And so I never have any time to, you know, for myself or even to work on art or whatever. So I'm actually in that place where I'm just starting to like come out of it.
Yeah.
Um, and then I normally would probably be talking to Paradigm around now and being like, "Hey, when should we set up that next solo show?" But this time I decided I'm gonna do it differently. Um, See, I did learn something from the last show too, but many things, but I decided that I needed to have a body of work already in play
Mm.
before I book a next solo.
Is this your first time trying that?
Yeah.
Cool. Nice. Yeah.
So that, and also I really wanted to like also just because I don't have a lot of time um to to devote to my art making. I also wanted to just like do some group shows and like, take opportunities that I usually have to say no to because I have to completely devote all my time to the solo show. So I have um like a group show, like things happening in May. Um and then like well, I do have a solo show, but it's in like a tattoo shop of my friends own in they have a gallery space and it's one of those things that like I had to say no to before, but now I'm excited because I feel like it's shows like that are a really great way to get to explore um maybe new things too.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So then it sounds like it's almost like there's like seasonal or like cyclical sort of
Yeah.
like way of working that you have, right? Where you go through this period of like the holidays and the kin keeping and stuff, and then you come out of that and you discover and you work your way into like the new show and stuff. Like, how does for people who may be coming from a different discipline than this type of art, like what does the whole like show like prepping for a show like entail, right? From when you have the idea, right? So we could take this last one maybe as an example or something, or one of your other ones, but when you have the idea and the concept, like how do you even think about how many pieces you need for it? Like how do you like I guess I'm just trying to think about like how you conceptualize an entire show from scratch because I imagine that's different than just it's obviously different than just creating a piece because you feel like prompted towards something. So I don't know. I'm just curious about like the whole show process in general.
Yeah, I laughed when you said like, how do you come up with how many pieces you're gonna have for the show?
Yeah.
So like a lot of my friends that show at Paradigm too, like to be like, okay, or just people checking in, like, so yeah, so how many pieces are you planning on having the show? And I'm like, uh-huh. I'm one of those like, however many I get finished.
Yeah, sure.
And then, when people ask an artist, how do you know when you're finished? And I'm like, well, for me, it's because I have a deadline.
Yeah.
I have to be, you know?
Yes.
So, um, I usually, but I will say this is something that I have noticed in that cycle, because you're right. It's like I have started noticing a cycle, and I should like match it to like the phases of the moon or something.
Yeah.
What I've noticed is that I usually do want to explore something new. And there always seems to be one piece, one painting in my mind
Hmm.
that has just happened to be like this transition piece from the last show.
Okay. And it was
It
a
just
piece that you've already done, like an already
it's
created
like
piece?
one that I've either done or I've started. Like
Okay.
that's what happened with this last show is that the struggle bus painting with my kids.
Yeah.
I had that in my mind, like I coming off of the nostalgia show, right?
Yeah.
And I I started it. And it was like a bigger piece, and I worked on it for a while. And it was funny because as I was working on that, I was working through all the rest of the show. And then I was like, oh wait, does this even fit in with this show anymore? And that's what I realized that like that's okay. Like I do have these kind of transition pieces that kind of invite a piece from the last show into this. And that's very much like speaks to who I am as a person too. And like the way I talk or the way I think, where I have these like the tangents, and I'm always telling people like just the other day I brought something up. Oh, I said to my family, um, oh, the apples that I just got are really good, by the way. And my daughter was like, where did that even come from? Like we were talking about something else. And it was like Super Mario Brothers or something like we are talking, I don't even know. And I was like, oh, it did. Like it all happens in my head. Like I
Yes.
have these very natural progressions. I don't reveal all of those. I just share like the final thing. So I like that those pieces end up being almost like a transition. I'm terrible with transitions, by the way. So
Well, it's like it's very fluid, it sounds like, which is cool because like I'm like the opposite, right? Where I feel like I'm like too rigid and I have to like think through and explain like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And there's like a time and place for that, and there's a time and place for the other stuff. But what I really love about what you're describing and like even the willingness to go down tangents, like that is actually, at least for me personally, like it's relaxing because you don't have to predict like, okay, we're at B, now I'm waiting for C and I'm waiting for D, right? And that's what my brain does
yeah.
all the time. So when I'm talking to someone like you, it's so refreshing because it's like, oh, cool, we can just like ride the conversation and we don't have to like have it like that. And it sounds like your art practice is very similar to that too, where it's like you're just sort of following like the tug and the call, and you don't have to like think it through that rigidly. Is that sort of like the experience that you have?
I mean, that's all yeah, I would say that that's the experience, but for me, it doesn't feel like I appreciate that you find it relaxing to talk because I don't know if most people would. Um, it doesn't, let's put it this way. That is my natural inclination of how to work. If I were to just constantly be able to trust my gut and whatever feels innate, um, then it would be a peaceful experience, I think. But I'm an artist and I have all of the other things like the self-critic, the inner critic, the imposter syndrome, all of those other things that you have to contend with as an artist, and the self-doubt and so while I'm almost getting in my own way sometimes because I will have that like that pull that that leads me to like starting a piece like I discussed earlier where you don't care what anybody like you just feel so like confident about it and it's right. And then all of a sudden you have like the imposter syndrome or the inner critic going, "Yeah, but does that really like fit? Like
Mm.
is this a cohesive show?" And um I feel like that always ends up being more detrimental to me that I'll like be like, okay, but it has to like all fit and make sense and um yeah, so there's a lot of getting in my own way, I feel like.
Yeah. How do you deal with it? Is it like are you just doing your like you just do it anyways or
I
like
mean, I don't know, I drive my husband and my friends crazy, I guess, trying to get like reassurance. I don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I'll be like for the last show, I'd be like, oh, is this like does this work though? Is this like part of the same show? And then I'd be like, yeah, but it's about ADHD. People, of course, it's going to be all over the place. That's if I'm trying to show my ADHD experience, of course it's going to be, and it's just like, yeah, you just have to keep working through it, I guess. And
So then with like what is your role to like feedback and stuff then? Like is it like do you change things a lot based on like what you hear other people
no,
say? No.
no,
Yeah.
I don't. I think I use it more as like that. I always suggest it to even, to my kids too, like that. Use that as a litmus test.
Yeah.
So when and other artist friends too, I'm like, it's like, when you ask somebody and they tell you, they either give you advice or they tell you what they think. If you feel pulled, if you're disappointed by what they said, then you know that you have to like keep going.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yes.
It- it's like that's what I use it for. I just kind of like, oh, okay, that actually I don't agree with that at all. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep going and doing what I'm doing.
That's That's a lesson that took me way too long to learn because when I used to ask people for feedback, I was literally thinking about feedback in terms of like, I gotta change everything every time someone
Oh,
tells me to do something, right? And then it's like a couple years ago, I realized exactly what you just said, which I think like is a really powerful lesson for artists, which is like, you don't always know how you feel about something until you have a conversation with
yeah.
somebody else and put yourself out there and you have to explain it or defend it or let them
Yeah.
react to it.
And if you feel protective of it, then that's a good sign that you're like that you're being authentic to that's I would say one of my most core values and um in life and in my work is authenticity. I
Yeah.
talk about it a lot. Um and it's hard, but I feel like those are always the things that you have to do to kind of like check yourself. Am I being authentic here? Because it's like people know, you
Yes.
know.
And you can't always realize, like, at least for me, I'm good at deceiving myself, right? So I'll think I'm
Yeah,
being super authentic, but until I'm interacting with another person, I won't realize it. And then it's like someone's reading something I wrote. I'm like, oh man, like I didn't realize
yeah,
Do you find too that people usually give you like that what people tell you you already knew, but you just needed to hear somebody say it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you definitely. It's good to have that core group of like your go-to people. Yeah, that will be honest with you. My husband, I'm lucky because my husband's really good at like helping me um kind of work through the internal struggle and
Yeah. That goes a long way. It's important to have people in our corner. That's cool. So earlier you were talking about like the therapeutic sort of effect, for lack of a better term, that your art has on yourself, right? Like working through
right.
the different things. Do you ever think about how it's going to affect other people too. So here's what made me think of that, right? So I saw on your Instagram the I think it's called Shame Spiral, the one where people could spin the piece. Like I loved that. I was looking at that and I was like, man, that's so cool. And it has like the broken mirror pieces, right? And then the is it a lazy Susan that you
Yeah,
used?
yeah.
Yeah,
So
and they could
yeah,
spin
I
it.
guess to describe it. Well, I guess you can post it too, but
Yeah.
um yeah, so it's like I basically created this box that has like a cutout. It's a mo broken mirror mosaic. And then it has a cutout so that it like spins on the inside. Like, yeah, I used like the Lazy Susan kind of technology. And um and then on the outer, like it's basically like a hole, as if, and then I have like my feet as if I'm looking down into the hole because I love my rabbit holes. So it's like um yeah, and the title is the full title is um Shame Spiral. Feel free to take it for a spin. I won't be needing it anymore.
Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, what was your thought process behind that, right? Because it's like people have and were people like spinning it and stuff like at the
Yeah, it
show?
was like
Yeah.
one of those things we had to like tell people they were allowed to spin it. Because people in galleries are always like, oh, am I allowed to touch it? Um, yeah, I've always liked the idea of creating art that like there is an actual reflection, like that people can see themselves in it. Obviously, um, for me, the greatest gift is when someone connects to my art. To me, like that's what it's all about. And um, I don't think about like how people will respond to it or connect to it when I'm making it,
Yeah.
because I don't that is like a surefire way to take out the authenticity, right? To work to think about what other people are going to think. But it's been like the most valuable thing to me to have um people respond to it. Um some of my closest friends now I've made because of like them seeing my art and connecting with it. In particular, the Hidden Mother series, because um there were some pieces about like loss. I because I have had several miscarriages, so that was like part of my story as well. And one of my closest friends saw one of my pieces and can like really connected with it, and then reach out, and that and now so it, or just like yeah, hearing people say like that really spoke to them. um that to me is really what it's all about. So I also like how people's response to your art can make you see it in a way that you didn't realize.
Yeah.
That's the coolest thing. I just saw a clip from a Pearl Jam like one of the early ones, and now I'm gonna blank on the song, but uh oh, I'm Still Alive.
Okay.
And he's talking about he's at the concert and he was talking about what he went through. It was like a personal thing that he like learned some truths about his family or whatever. And I'm talking about Eddie Vedder, sorry. And he said that when the audience heard the song, because for him it was talking about like a painful thing, but when people started responding to the song as like a like I'm still alive, like a thing, he said like you all changed the meaning of that song for me, which is like that's pretty amazing. And I think that's like, I mean, wouldn't you say that's kind of what it's all about, right? This
Yeah.
whole why we do what we do. And
Right. Yeah. To change ourselves and give people the opportunity to have themselves change too, right?
yeah.
Like, yeah. What? What are like, can you think of a specific way that you've changed your understanding of your own art from someone's reaction?
I can't remember specifically what one, but when somebody commented on it and responded to it, I felt like so seen. And I didn't necessarily originally think that that's what that piece was about. But they made me realize that it was like a way for me to like to invite myself to be really seen, you
Mm.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's I feel like that's a theme always that carries through too. Like even going back from the hidden mothers, you know, like my whole thing about concealing in order to reveal, right? Because I think it does create it's like human nature to want to know more about something that's hidden, right? Or unknown maybe. Um so that's kind of what I was doing with the hidden mothers where, you know, I'm hiding the identity of the person, but then I'm revealing who they are by other things in the portrait.
Hmm.
Um and and then with you know, the unmasking, um it's kind of like in the last show I I wore like a wolf mask in one of them and like a costume, you know, and it was like the idea of putting on a mask in order to actually show your to be seen.
Yes.
So I have a vast collection of novelty eyewear.
Okay.
Um and that actually played a big role in the last show too because I actually had in the gallery I had a novelty room. That's where the shame spiral thing was, and it was like more interactive and I actually had some of the novelty eyewear there for people to be able to try on. Um because I always say like and this is the only collection that I've ever stuck with.
Okay.
My very first pair, I when I put them on, like something happened where it was like I was bringing forth like my true self and I was like putting it out there like very for people to very to see.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like um I like that contrast of like the idea of like well you're actually like putting technically putting a mask on in order to unmask.
That's cool. That's really cool. Was that like so I didn't see all the pieces in the show. Obviously, like I don't live in the area, so I wasn't able to see it, but like was there a lot of that happening? Like the interplay on like masking and unmasking?
Not as much as I probably would have liked. I mean, I would say that my favorite pieces in the show have that element.
What so I know you're in like that discovery phase now. Like are there any proactive things that you do when you're in that phase, right? Like as part of like that like cycle. Like I don't know, like are you inspired by like reading, movies, fashion, other art? Like are there things that you go out and actively try to expose yourself to like feel inspiration, or is it something that just sort of naturally wells up in you as you leave space for it?
I think it usually is like something that I'm processing like on a personal level before I start uh thinking about doing some art about it. Um so I always use the term like the analogy that I plant a seed
Mhm.
for like every creative project I do, plant the seed. I tell my daughter that all the time. I'm like the like that's like the to me that's the birthplace of whatever happens from it. And then um I always have this wheel, this is my brain.
Yes.
To like multiple wheels turning, and there will always be the artist wheel turning. Anything that I do, it can be the most mundane thing. I'm collecting. And I mean, like, I can't even tell you how many times like I've had some of my greatest ideas like doing dishes, or because sometimes it's good, like those mundane things open up your mind to really explore that stuff. Um and so then I'm walking through life and I'm like, you know, it's collecting, and like the seed starts to sprout and then grow. And that looks like uh um lots of rabbit holes. So I will see something that interests me, um whether it's a technique, like in some kind of art technique that I'm like, oh, I want to explore that. And I'll go down that rabbit hole, or I'll go down a rabbit hole about like, um, just like, yeah, a song that it for some reason it moves me in a special way. And even like sometimes a lyric, like I've often made painting titles. I actually formed entire shows around like the Memory Palace show.
Yeah.
Like when I heard that term for the first time, I was like, I need to do a show. That's like, so I've developed like whole things based on like I need to make this part of it. Um yeah, so I'm like collecting, going down rabbit holes, just trying to get everything I could possibly know about the subject. I love making connections with things. So, like, um, and then I don't like, I haven't had a sketchbook in so long. Um, and I have a background in graphic design and advertising too.
Okay.
That was the first career path.
Yeah.
Uh, but it was good because I actually am able to, use Photoshop. I do like all of my sketches. Like I basically comp up all of my ideas, and I feel like I'm able to get there a lot faster because I'm always just trying to get to the painting. I'm like
Yes.
the painting. Like even I don't even sketch onto the canvas. Like I transfer through, like I will build the whole comp of my idea. I'll take reference photos and then um use, imagery or whatever to try to get it as much as possible to what I want it to look like. And then I'll either with transfer paper or even projector, I'll just because I'm like just trying to get to the painting. I'm not trying to be a hero and solve this whole like sketching.
Yeah.
But then um once I'm actually like have the idea and I'm painting, then it usually is there's not a lot that changes within that. Like I kind of know where I'm going. There might be
Yeah.
some little things here and there, but um yeah, and then I tend to have multiple things going at a time just because I kind of have to just for the practicality of oil paints.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten myself into a lot of trouble with drying time.
Oh, yeah. Is it pretty easy to ruin an oil painting? I've never actually tried oil before. I've done acrylic and watercolor and all that.
Yeah, I mean it's easy to overwork, I think, or to
Gotcha.
try to push something before so I'm not a very patient person, so it's funny that I got into oil, but
Right. Has exploring so many different like mediums and techniques and all the things, like, do you find that a lot of them like the skills like transfer over? So what I mean by that kind of is like some people love to just like fixate on one thing and like optimize and get better and better and all this stuff, right? And then there's a value in that. And there's also a value in spreading yourself super wide and trying a bunch of different things. Like, have you ever been frustrated because of that draw to try new techniques, but like is it ever, because you're trying so many new things, do you ever like have to like start from ground zero and learn it from scratch? I'm not sure how to articulate the question
Yeah,
fully,
I
but
feel like I feel like I know the gist of what you're asking. So I'm not like a not a half-assed person um in like anything that I do. Well, maybe like dishes and laundry.
sure.
We don't, you know. Um, so that actually can be a problem for me because when I do take on a new novel idea, um, and I somehow am convinced I have to master it or be at a the graduate level of it. Um, and so far I've I've been able to like pull everything off that so I don't know if it's maybe that I'm just gravitated towards things that I know that I like will be natural for me to
Mm,
take to. Maybe that's it too, like the things
sure.
I'm drawn to. I remember the first time that I used punch needle embroidery
Yeah.
um on a piece. I it's like really important to me to try to do as much of the actual fiber work on the actual canvas with the painting, like rather than like attaching something.
Oh yeah.
I think I only have one piece out there that I ended up attaching something, but it was also dimensional. So, um, but so what I do is that I'll leave like the part of the canvas raw
Mm.
and unprimed where I'm going to be doing the needlework or whatever. And um and then I do the whole painting. And the first time that I did the punch needle, it was a very involved, like I was doing all kinds of like different techniques, like dimensional, like with flowers and things and it was a large piece and I did the painting part and then I just went for it. And I was just like, that might have not been the smartest idea. Like you could have totally destroyed all, but it worked out. And I don't know, I think there's maybe that just works for me then, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think like what you were saying earlier, like that you feel like that's just the way, like that novelty is the way that it's like the way that you express it. So I don't know, I
Yeah.
think that makes sense.
And I'm also not like I'm not one of those artists that's like a huge stickler for following the rules.
Yeah,
Like I'm okay with like that's not the way you're supposed to do it. Oh well, like it's working, so
exactly. That's right. If this isn't the way to do it, why is it working? Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. No, that's awesome. A few more questions here as we get close to wrapping up. What role does like other artists and like inspiration play? Like, are there any artists that you've really admired throughout your time creating your own art that you sort of harken back to?
I'm not one of those people that is uh really well versed on the names and everything of like, artists or contemporary artists. Like I always got A's in art history because I was really good at BSing in the papers.
Sure.
But um I feel like there's always like the core. people that I tend to like think about their work and just like, oh, yeah, like I can't, it's just like, oh, um, but it always changes too. And like right now, I would say like if I could be anybody, like, and I feel like I'm gonna butcher her name. Arg Argavan
Okay.
Khosravi. I'll send you the link to her work. She's it's insanity. Like I can't even grasp because it's like she's one of those people who like she explores with it's like with sculpture and painting and multiple dimensional and her like just her painting skills alone are insane. And I just yeah, I just can't even, but she's super inspiring. Um and then it's like really my core artist community, like my friends. I have an amazing group of incredibly talented artists kind of in just in my community through Philadelphia and the area um that I'm just constantly like blown away by, and these are, you know, like best friends too at this point, and I just yeah. Um so a lot of times like my favorite artists will be just like somebody that I even know because they're
Yeah.
just inspiring me.
What do you, so I think one of the things we've been returning to over and over again that I think is super powerful about your work in general is like you were saying, the authenticity. So like for people who are watching or listening who have not cracked the code on authentic, like if they feel like, man, I'm making this work and it's not fully authentic, do you have any advice on how someone could tap into authenticity if they're struggling with it?
I mean, I'm still working on that all the time too, So, but I think it's like since I've kind of entered the world where I am like an exhibiting artist, like and then I do build these shows and collections based on. I mean, for years I never really even had a series because I would do two and at the most three of something and get bored.
Okay.
So that was like the Hidden Mother was the first kind of the first thing that I actually really wanted to keep doing more of until I didn't.
Yeah.
Um but I got a lot out in that series. Um I think that if you get too much in your head about trying to create that body of work and that collection or the series, that's that's one of the things that will get in the way of authenticity. And I think sometimes you just have to be like I just want to like I have something that I want to make, and it doesn't need to have a purpose. It doesn't need to ever be seen. It doesn't need I just need to get it out of me. And usually what happens is you see something in it or creating it brought you joy or whatever and that you want to do more. You know what I mean? It's like I guess uh fight the tendency to want to have it all planned out, you
Yep.
know,
Yep.
because yeah, it makes sense on a time management. Well, but as somebody who has time blindness and horrible with time management, um, I don't think that I could like do that work that way if I try. Actually, I have tried and I know I
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
But I also feel like things like just leaning into your process, I guess, not trying to fight who you are. And sometimes like just like I always need to be making something or I get squirrely. Like I've been getting squirrely lately. I got it out of my system that I like over the holidays. Also, like my love language is I really like making things for people too. So that fulfills that need of mine. But if um if I don't get to be making something, creating something, and it can be like the smallest thing. I mean, sometimes it's just enough for me to uh like one time I was cutting strawberries and I just made like a quick like painting with the strawberry, juice. But like it was something like you know, um like I even have like photos where I'm like I just really want to paint that photo that I took. So just paint it. I mean, I'm preaching to the choir right. And I need to do that myself. So,
No, that's
because
good.
I do find myself kind of already because I do have some deadlines
Yeah,
coming up, like in May that I do have to consider, but I'm already like, oh wait, but what happened to that photo that you took of, whatever, and it doesn't fit into what you might be doing, but maybe you should just do it.
yeah. Well, and like I feel like when we follow those like authentic tugs, like it's easier to do that work anyways. Like it happens faster because we actually want to do it versus like
Exactly.
forcing ourselves to do stuff we don't want to do.
Yeah, honestly, I could probably like one of those paintings, I could probably be like working on that and still be in my head about the other stuff and be finished before I would have just been in my head the whole time.
Right. Yeah.
And also like because I'm just in my head and not making anything or putting anything out there, what happens is to get the breaks from my head, I'll do things like um, you know, playing a game or like Wordle or something on my phone to just get like that break or escape. Whereas I'd rather be actually having like a finished piece at the end of
Right.
it.
Yes, you have something to show for it. That makes sense. Well,
So maybe
Sarah,
I gotta now I'll have to take that my own advice then.
right. Yeah,
Check
right.
in with me, make sure I'm doing it.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Well, likewise too, because it's really hitting me. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation. Like it was a lot
Thank
of
you.
fun, so I
No,
appreciate it.
I actually needed this conversation um more than you know, just because it is like I feel like this is my now um a good segue to me getting back to work in the studio.
Well, I'm
So thank
excited to see what comes out of it. So,
me too.
Always choose orange.
thanks for checking out this episode of Always Choose Orange. If you like what you heard, subscribe to the channel and there'll be more conversations coming soon, just like this one.